Hello everyone and welcome to LSI F1 EU Championship, F1.5 EU Championship. We're today for the French Grand Prix, round 7 out of 16. This is a race that proved to be a very, very exciting one yesterday, as we saw. Let's see what we can find today. It's going to be drier for the further we go through the session. It's also going to be pretty wet throughout the entire race, but a little patch of dryness at the very end of the main race. It's a sprint race, of course, as you may know. And Robbo currently at the top of the times, but not really bothering too much because, as I said, the track's going to get drier. So it's going to be time to just go into the pit lane and start getting ready for that dry situation. Zingy, I have a question. Why are these guys even bothering going out in this first part of qualifying if they know it's going to dry up?
Well, they know it's going to dry up, of course. However, here's a question. Here's a question to answer your question. Why? What is the point of going out on dry tires if, say, if everyone would invalidate? If you got one run and everyone invalidates, but you've set pole position on inters, then you're going to get pole anyway. So these guys are setting laps on the inters, sort of fast, but just keeping it valid mostly, as Marco makes his way up to the top of the standings. So if, say, Marco now stays pole position, then everyone invalidates on the dries. They're going to get, probably realistically speaking, one run on the dries. That means Marco will get pole. However, even if only like 3 people set a valid lap, you're still going to be at, what, P4? So you're going to have to think about it smartly, and you're going to have to just set your laps. And that's why people are doing it, just in case these circumstances may occur.
Fair enough. Got a good point. Just try and get something down. Now, lots of people on their way, well, a couple people on their way up to McLaren's new driver, Rexty. Going to see what he can do today. Brand new to the F1.22 game, so it's going to be pretty tough as he's just come off the F1 2018 game. So quite a lot has changed since then, but it is what it is. Qualifying, 7 minutes left on the clock. Hopefully, we can see it dry up and we can see some quick laps. I'm sorry, I'm just going to quickly look at the settings a minute, because I'm pretty sure I set it to particles on. Well, it is on. It's just not displaying any particles. So, unfortunately, we're not going to actually get any raindrops, but it is what it is. I could try and play around with it, but I'm not going to play around with it too much. I don't want to go game crash, because that would absolutely ruin everything. At the moment, not really much that we can see. We've currently got a couple people out on track. Marco returns, of course, as a reserve driver today. Let's see what they can do. I know that they're pretty quick these days. They might even have to be classed as a higher tier driver depending on their pace, but time will tell if they are going to be up there for that kind of reason. Just as a reserve driver, of course, they've got to make sure that they're keeping it clean. Is the track drying up? Gilly goes and sets a P1 position right now. Lovely stuff for Gilly there. That could be a crucial thing for them. Gilly usually retires pretty early on into qualifying sessions, but this time he's going to have to stay up all the way to the end to try and get a good lap in. Zingy, the track's not drying up that quickly.
Well, yeah, no, that's back to my point even more. The longer it stays wet for, the less of a chance they have to set a dry lap. And people who are staying, you know, in the pits, or people who have not set laps today, like Frantic, for example, he's going to have to set a lap soon. And if it's not very good, and he's not got enough fuel, well, then he's just messed himself up, hasn't he? Because he's obviously expected the track to get dry, but maybe he's realised that it might not dry up that quickly, and it's gone out on the intermediate tyre. It'll still be optimal for him to set a good lap, but, you know, risks and rewards. But honestly, it's more point safe, especially in the conditions like this. And with people such as, I would say Gelly, but he changed his setup now, but people who run really low downforce, they start on pole. They might not have the outright pace, but straight line speed is important on this track. We've seen it yesterday. Vanders and Niffle being absolutely rapid on the straights. And hunting down himself is Frantic only goes P9. So maybe that was just a warm-up lap, potentially. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's thinking, I'm just going to go straight back into the pit lane anyway, but it's still got a long way to go. Marco goes and improves once again. Gilly is going to carry on with their second lap. Let's see if they can improve what they currently set just a few moments ago. Are they going to push themselves up the order? They're going to put themselves back into P2 ahead of Nifajan, who has done a bit of a whoopsie and set a lap time there. But yeah, they'll disqualify themselves eventually, and then that will be all sorted, of course. Is what it is. For now, nothing that we can get done. Right, so who is going to be looking for pole position? Pursoon is going to be trying to set a lap here, but they've lost the rear of the car, got a tanks lapper, and they're managing to keep it out of the wall. The walls are very far away around this circuit, so that's one positive that you can take away from what just happened there. But yeah, it's not looking that dry, to be honest. We can't really see it because there's a yellow flag in the way. 4 minutes left on the clock. Do you think if you go into the pit lane now and wait for that perfect time, the very last few moments, you're going to be able to get a nice dry lap in?
Right. Say you leave with what, 2 minutes to go, probably a good amount of time. You might be able to. It is drying up. I am starting to notice it is drying a bit.
I think Robbo's got it right here.
Robbo's in the pits, and he's not doing the best. He's P7.
He's waiting.
But yeah, he is waiting. That's a good part. So Robbo, Sebok, Rexday and Gibby are all waiting, as well as Marco. They are poised to do well here. That's Robbo, I think. He's going out on the soft tyres. A bit early. 3 minutes 27. He could have waited another minute at least, but he decided to bite the bullet already. Maybe just want to get rid of the traffic and set a nice clean lap by himself, which is fine, but we'll wait and see. We can spectate him on his out lap and see how it is. But he seems to be getting full throttle down easily into turn 1. It doesn't look that bad. Look at Robbo, he's on his own cold tyres, but he's actually
He's got to be careful with warming them up, otherwise he's just going to be gone in a minute. But yeah, it might be alright for now. Then your tyres kind of pick up a little bit of like rain on them, and it does cause them to have a couple of issues. He's got to make sure that he doesn't push this too much. He needs to slow down a bit, you know. I know he wants some extra time on track. And actually, to be honest, I guess if you filled the car up with 2 laps of fuel, you could go for 2 runs consecutively, maybe in the rain. It might actually work for you. But he doesn't seem to be going slow. It's not like he's really waiting for it to dry up too much. DRS is available now, so this is going to be our probably first quick lap of the session.
My thinking is the last person who actually crosses the line will get the best lap. I'm sure, who was it? Paul DeRessa made a good point about this, I know. Backing up the Scotsman as always. And he said, you want to always be the last person out on track because it's the grippiest. Now, this is an extreme case of that where it's drying up, and the more it dries up, the grippier it's going to get. Sebok, who is an F1 champion from quite a few years ago, has gone out in the dry tyres, and he's very far behind. Rexday, I can't tell the time as of now, but no, he's going to make it. So Rexday is actually the last car. Sebok is one of the last 2. They're just warming up the tyres as much as they can, and this is very good, as we see Robert on his lap now, coming through the first 2 corners, keeps it nice and put, doesn't touch the car too much, into the very technical end of the first part of the sector, and he gets his car put on the curb, but it's a bit difficult with the rain. He's going to make sure carefully that he doesn't slip in his purple first sector by 2 seconds, so that proves that the track is dry enough for the dry tyres. Now onto the straight, he's got the DRS available to him. He presses the button and that little flap at the back opens. Coming down the straight now, they're going to be reaching highs of 210 miles an hour, coming into the heavy braking zone of the chicane. You want to hook it on the curb on the left hand side, not cut too much on the right hand side, otherwise you'll get invalidated lap. You can kind of floor it on that curb, but it's a bit touch and go whether you will spin or not, but he keeps the car nice and straight. Coming into the fast right hand, flat through here, these F1 cars can take it no bother. And coming into the really fast right hander, a certain Charles Leclerc crashed here in F1 a few months ago, and it's very difficult in the game as well. And thankfully for Robbo, even in the wet conditions, he's actually managed to keep it nicely. Coming out of this corner now, it's very difficult to get the power down, but he seems to do that no bother at all. The penultimate corner, you want to hook it around here nicely, not getting the curb too much. He stays off the curb completely just for safety, out of the last corner. Now he gets the car put down, but he kind of swerves a little bit on the rear end, and coming up to the line, Robbo's going to set a pole, but did he look for the people behind him? Frantic on the intermediates for some reason. He set a lap, but I don't know why he didn't go and drive, so I'm not going to question it. Marco on a lap, and Tafari, Sebok and Rector also on lap, so this could be very close to the finish.
Yeah, interesting strategy from both AlphaTauri drivers. They're staying out on this intermediate tyre. It's not worked too badly for Frantic as of now, but the gap that is between P1 and P2 is significant. Presume's just about got himself into P3 there, but he's probably going to see himself drop down pretty significantly. Gibby going P2. This could be a great opportunity. Gilly retired in the pit lane once again. They decided they weren't going to set an improvement lap. Did they crash? I don't know. But still, I think maybe not. Even with damage on the front of the car, you would be able to set a faster lap time than you would in Inters. Maybe that's just an exaggeration. Maybe that's not true. We'll have to wait and see. Few minutes left of the session as people set their final laps of qualifying. Marco is going to come around the final few corners. He was pretty good in the wet conditions earlier on. Let's see what we can find from him. Is he going to be able to put it near the front row as we go round the final corner? DRS will be available, and across the line, what's it going to be here for the Williams? And it's going to be a P2, a 31.2, a brilliant lap there for Robbo. He set it pretty early on. He does spin, so he's not going to get a second lap in, but I was thinking earlier on, might he go for another run? Might it be possible? Still, that is pole position for Robbo. Brilliant job, as this is Vale and Mizzy and Cohen, his championship rivals, are not here. He's taking full advantage, and it's a sprint event.
Robbo's in a little celebration as he does a little 360 in the final corner.
Yeah, lovely stuff from him. The Alpine is on top. Will we see Dave Raptors join? Maybe during the sprint race, we'll see. Robbo takes pole position, Marco in P2, then we've got Gibby in P3. That is the rest of the grid, and then we'll see you in a little bit for the race. It's just allowed us to actually get the race director unusually, so I'm just going to quickly skim through that while we can, and we'll see you in a bit for the race. Ready? Home! Go! Who's gonna get it into turn row one? Robbo gets away well, and that is Marco right there on the outside, not able to get alongside. That's the Alpine gonna take the lead immediately. The Haas's Sebel goes off the circuit, momentarily gonna lose more momentum as he's gonna get passed by maybe the other McLaren side by side as they carry on. Cars off in the background, not entirely sure what happened there. There was a cone going off somewhere. That is Sebel trying to get back to the inside. Looks like he might have a go, but Gilly's on the outside putting the pressure on. The McLaren makes the mistake and the switchback is on. Will he get the traction down and manage to make it work? No. Yes, he will actually. He does manage to make it work. Gilly going around the outside. Incredible stuff. We've now got Jordi trying to make his way through as a higher tier driver. He's got to be really, really careful that he doesn't cause any issues. He is going to go on Gilly, but no, decides to try and take the racing line again, but there's a car behind him. Got to be so careful. Nifojan right there. It's so tight between these guys in P9. Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Jordi is going a bit too aggressive here as he now sends it to the inside. Jordi is going to have to reconsider this because otherwise he's going to be in a big lot of trouble.
Yeah, we've seen Gilly there on, swapping right around the outside as there goes Niffle making a bit of a mistake, but coming into the long left-hander. Is he going to make a move? No, but Pursoon goes for the move on Rexday, but can he get the traction down? No, he can't. Rexday manages to get it down, and he keeps P9 for now. Pursoon just can't find a way past it. There's Jordi in the wall. He's crashed. He's surely going to have to make a pit stop. No, he stays on track, and he's got a big chunk of damage, but looking back now, Rexday and Pursoon are still battling for P8 now, as he got promoted to Praise. But here comes Pursoon, and he's made the place up into P8, finally getting past that McLaren.
Lovely stuff. Side by side with Marco and Robbo. Robbo trying to hold on. A switchback is possibly on here for Marco. Tried to force Robbo into an awkward line so he could get a good run. Not good enough, unfortunately. We got a 9-lap race in intermediate conditions all the way through, so they really do have to be creative with overtaking because there's no DRS and the traction is so loose. When you've got a car in front of you, it gets very difficult. Gibby really doing a very good job in P3 at the moment. Tafari right behind him, so these guys are doing a good job. Tafari's first race last season was at France, so he's a little bit of an anniversary here. Sebok right behind, couldn't find a way through. He returns, the legend returns. Is he going to be able to do anything else? I won't tell you his actual nickname, I will. It's the bowling ball, but never mind. Now, Gilly right behind here. They've got Nifo, higher tier driver right behind them. They don't really need to worry at the moment. Pursoon, though, is looking pretty quick, even after their issues at the start, of course. So they've got to watch out as soon as Nifo does try and go for a move. And I say that because he is a higher tier driver and he's probably want to try and get something done. He's going to have to be very aware.
Yeah, there's a little train going on here for P3. Gibby capitalising on that qualifying, but he seems to be struggling a bit in the rain. Maybe he was better in the dry. Coming into the last corner, it looks as though Gilly's trying to look for a move on Sebok, but is unable to make it at the moment. Onto the straight, he just can't get the traction down. Now looking back up a little bit further, here comes Tafari. He's going to be using his battery, but Gibby seems to be very solid in a straight line, not having to use a battery, and he's able to keep him behind for now. Looking a bit further back, Sebok cuts the corner a little bit. That might allow Gilly to get the traction down earlier, and it looks like he's going to use a battery, but he's not going to go for it. He's going to stay behind for now. But yeah, as you said, they need to get creative in terms of overtaking. You can't just overtake on a straight, because there's actually no DRS in no wet conditions due to safety reasons, of course. As Sebok goes a bit defensive, Gilly gives him a little tap up the rear, but he just can't seem to find the traction when trying to overtake. No one can. It's so close between these guys that, I mean, it's literally impossible to overtake. Now Gibby's actually finding momentum and pulling away.
Sebok very quick in a straight line, it seems. He has a quick look to spot his braking point, but no kind of overtake right here. We've got a bit of a situation as Sebok actually makes a mistake. Gilly's not going to be there to do anything about it. No one up ahead going to be making a move. It was somewhere behind that it got pretty tight between those guys. Pursoon is very close to the back of Nifojam, but they can't find their way through. Robbo, as he runs away with it a little bit, as Marco maybe made a mistake into the long swooping right-hander, so he needs to try and get a bit of momentum back. But Pursoon stuck behind here and he can't get anything done. Yes, he'll get promoted a position from Nifojan, of course, but that's not what he wants. He wants to try and make progress on the other cars ahead.
Yeah, Sebok trying to look for a creative line into the last corner now, and he's going to go for the move down the inside of Tafari. It's going to be close. They make contact, wheels banging, but Tafari has the outside line, a lot more grip, and he's going to keep his position in P4. But here comes Gilly. He's always there when people make mistakes, and he's going to go into turn 1 now, but he can't seem to make the move. Sebok absolutely flying the straight line. He still sends it up the inside somehow, but he does not manage to make it. And here comes Sebok, he makes a mistake, and Gilly's surely going to go down the inside now. He is. Now he's going to be under pressure from Devil Jam, but no! He's staying side by side. The straight line speed's helped him so much. He's going to loop it right around the outside, and these guys are still by side. It's incredible, but Gilly eventually gets the move. However, Sebok's going to get the switch back. He's very wise. Gilly tried to get his way up the inside, and I think he might have got it, but on the straight, remember, Sebok is so quick. He's like a bullet in the straight line. No one can compete with him on the straight now. He just slides past him. There's no way Gilly can compete. And Sebok is actually only side by side. I thought he would have been much farther ahead. But no, Gilly hangs it around the outside with the high downforce. He breaks late and he manages to get the position. But will there be more battling coming into the fast right-hander? I don't think there is. Gilly gets a good exit. And that's Gilly eventually up into P5. Wow.
Brilliant job. Sebok is still right there though, and if these guys fight, Bassoon's going to be making a move. He recently had a go at Nifo. Nifo lost a further position to Rexty, so Nifo had a couple of issues. I'm not sure if he had damage because there was a bit of contact when Sebok was racing Gilly. He went pretty slowly. All of a sudden there was a very light bit of contact, and I don't know if it would have been enough for any kind of damage. Robbo running away with this as he's about to start lap 5 onto the inside. Goes Bassoon. Sebok, is he going to have to yield on the exit? It is pro Sebok as he manages to get a phenomenal run. Brilliant job here. Using the ERS as Bassoon as he goes to the outside line. He's not really going to be close enough, but he still sends it round the outside. Will he have the grip to hold it? I don't know. He does. That is absolutely incredible. Having the downforce to get that kind of thing done. Amazing.
Yeah, I've noticed that obviously Sebok's very quick on the straights, but people seem to be able to hang it around him. Maybe he's went too low on the downforce, but no denying for Pursuit that was a great move around the outside and then switching to the inside for the first corner. He made that stick beautifully, and now he's going to be on the charge to Gilly. He's looking very quick at the moment, and maybe one of the fastest on track, with the exception of possibly Robbo. That's about it, but Pursuit on the hunt now for that Ferrari in P5.
Yeah, we've got the two cars up in front as well, Tafari and Gibby. They're very close to one another, but they're not really able to overtake one another despite that. So at the moment it's working out quite nicely because they're not really being fought by the cars behind. The cars behind are kind of fighting each other, but they could be in trouble. We know how quick Bassoon can be. He's just got to try and find the right opportunities, and then he'll be right there. Gilly very close right now. If he can get a car in between him and Bassoon, he'll be good to go. Although Gibby and Tafari are looking pretty quick today. They are pretty quick today. They're not doing bad at all. So the opportunity is going to be very hard to find.
Yeah, especially in the wet weather, as we said before. But Gilly looking opportunistically down the inside, but he can't really find it at all. Gibby getting a bit of a compromised exit. Tafari cuts into the slipstream, but look at him. He's gone on the straight. It looks as though Gibby's got quite a bit of straight line speed as well. So there's some people who have got a lot of straight line speed, some people who've got a lot of downforce, and in a way, that is creating themselves some opportunity to overtake. So with a difference of setup, it provides different types of racing. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got mostly intermediate conditions, but it seems like a lot of people are still on dry setups. And here we go. Gilly to the inside, tries to force the space. He was going to go for it, backed out, then went for it, then there was contact. So that was a little bit of a hesitation moment there, and unfortunately a light bit of contact. Bassoon is going to get a very nice exit now. He'll get a good run. He's going to have to do a bit of a send though, because he's not got any energy to really deploy. He's just trying to stick in the slipstream, but he's going to actually wait. He's going to wait to go for a move. He doesn't want to go for it, interestingly, right now. I'm surprised. We're on lap 6 out of 9, and now that opportunity is completely gone. Gilly is having a look here on the McLaren. Is he going to go to the inside? He is going to go to the inside. Tafari has to leave the space, has to lift to stay within track limits, and Gilly takes the inside line. Is he going to get it on exit though? Bassoon's also to the inside. Tafari's kind of thinking, you know what, I'm going to try and hold off Pursoon here and secure this position. Otherwise, I'm going to be in big, big trouble. And he's done a phenomenal job at doing that. He might even consider going back on the Ferrari. Oh, he is! He is going to send it! Understeers and pushes Gilly wide. Somehow managing to stay in a straight line. That was absolutely crucial. Here we go. Pursoon is right behind and he wants to go for the Ferrari. Really unfair for Gilly. He's hating this at the moment, but it's happened. Pursoon, is he going to try and send it again like he did on Sebok? He is. And is he going to make it work? No! Gilly hangs it round the outside on the exit and they get the run, but it's still side by side a drag race into the first chicane. Is it going to work out? Still side by side. I couldn't tell you. Back to the inside line goes Pursoon. You have the advantage and you're going to have the inside once again, and he should have the run. Gilly is probably going to have to back out here and maybe consider defending from Sebok, because Sebok, look at that run from him.
Yeah, Sebok got an absolutely amazing run onto the straight. Now he's going to look to the inside and he's absolutely flying. He almost catches up to Pursoon. That's how fast he is on the straight. But now Gilly's going to go back around the right outside like he done to him beforehand, and he makes the move stick. Incredible. Sebok tries to get the cut back on him, but he just doesn't get the traction down as much as we liked. And coming onto the straight now, he doesn't have anything to push with, so that's him still in P7. Gilly defending for his life, and he made it work. However, look how slow he is in the straight. I don't know if that's battery or downforce related, but I presume it's downforce related, as we can't really tell what the battery is due to the flashing lights. But that is in great defence from Gilly, keeping it in P6 for the moment.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Lots of people braving it to hold around the outside, and it's working quite nicely. I want to say, remember, this will set the qualifying order for the main race, and also if you finish in 8th, you get 1 point. If you finish in 1st, you get 8 points. So that's going to be something to consider. That's why I was so surprised Pursoon wasn't going for a move earlier on, because now we're already on lap 8 and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to improve any more. That is Rexty unfortunately making a mistake and losing quite a few positions himself.
Robbo made a mistake.
Oh, no, no, no. Robbo down from the lead of the race, and that could be valuable points gone here. He seemed to have a significant pace advantage. He doesn't have damage, so he might be able to get this back, but he's got a lot of work to do. Only 1.5 laps to really get that done. Side by side, Tafari Pursoon tries to get the job done. He does get the job done. We know Tafari was pretty handy on the exits earlier on, but this time it's not going to work. Gilly, I don't think it's going to get a run, and as we saw earlier on, their setup maybe isn't suitable for overtaking on a straight line, so it's not going to be possible. Sebok, however, is going to have a quick look to spot their braking point, but that will be that one done. Pursoon's got one more move that he needs to try and make work. Do you think he's going to do it, Zingy?
I couldn't tell you. Look at it. Just look at the cinematic camera if you are already. Look how close these 5-6 cars are separated. It's like Silverstone all over again. I'm loving this. On to the final lap in a few moments' time. These guys are all battling for P3. One mistake from someone could absolutely cause carnage. And you know, you cannot be making mistakes as Pursoon loses the back end a bit, but he managed to keep it. And Gilly is so close to the back of that McLaren of Tafari. Remember, Ferrari and McLaren have a big rivalry. It's going to be very intense as Sebok actually makes a mistake and Frantic's now going to be looking for the move. He backs out of it for now. Maybe going to go down the inside to the final corner. No, he decides not to. It's the last lap though, and Pursoon's got a good exit. Is he going to be over the back again? We know he loses it in the second phase of traction, and he can't really seem to get the traction down, and now he can't obviously have the run on him, which you would expect. The last lap though, these guys are all going to be battling for that podium position. And further back now, it looks like Frantic's lost a bit of time, and now Niffle might be having a sniff for P8.
Lovely switch up on the final lap of the race. We are going to have to quickly look at, that is Pursoon going to the outside line. I do want to have a quick look at the guys ahead. Looks like Pursoon has got that move done. We'll have to watch on board in a little bit. That is Robbo trying to get anything back they possibly can. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer. back to the other guys on the main straight. Is anybody going to find another way through? There's a car off. Gibby trying to hold on into the toe and have a look back to the inside for one final time. It's not going to work. Tafari on the inside as well. It's not going to work for him either. It's going to be what it is. That's Gilly making that position back just about side by side. Here we go though. Robbo for the lead of the race. He sticks his nose in. The space is left. Is he going to be able to get the move in the final few corners? This is for the win. Lap 9 out of 9. One sector to go. Is he going to send it? He's got the run. He's got the run. He's got it. I think he has. There's contact as it's so tight. He couldn't keep it tight enough. And that is Robbo going to take it. Marco hopefully going to stay P2 as he squirms. That is Pursoon in P3. Gibby is going to have to sit in P4 now as there's a bit of a gap. That's Gilly sending it to the inside line. Just about avoiding contact. Tafari right behind. Is he going to try and find anything here? No. It is going to be how it's going across the line. And that is a brilliant race. Robbo, Marco, Pursoon, Gibby, Gilly and Tafari. That was pretty tricky, I'm not gonna lie. I got myself modelled up quite a bit there, but fair enough, a very exciting race.
I don't know what to comment on that. That was incredible. Up to the last corners, these guys were battling for the lead for the podium. That's how racing should be, man. And that was incredible.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. That is Robbo taking the win. Marco in P2, then we got Pursoon, Gibby, Gilly, Tafari, Subok, Frantic, Heisler, Rexty, and DNFing was Jordi and Nifo. We're going to look at the race director, but we're not because the game doesn't like us doing that. We'll see you in a bit for the main race. Ready, hold, go! Who's gonna get it into turn one? Robbo gets away well. Once again, it looks like it's gonna be deja vu, but Marco squirming off the line. Pursoon to the inside. Will he finally get a good race start? It looks pretty good right now. Gilly trying to get in on the action as well. He's not quite close enough. That's a McLaren. That's a Red Bull off, unfortunately. Right there. That is not what we want to see. Gibby to the inside. Having an amazing race today, and he's made the move. That's absolutely incredible. What an overtake. Side by side with Frantic and Heisler behind as well. That's Gibby having to give the position back or something. They've had an issue. Gilly is going to take it for now. Absolutely incredible. Robbo running away with this at the moment. That is Frantic looking very racy, but Gibby is looking for another opportunity here on Gilly. Will he get the move done into the chicane? He backs off once again. That is the McLaren going side by side. Frantic trying to show themselves in the main race as soon as they possibly can. They had a tough race in the sprint race, but now they're right here. They're going to the inside line up the hill, and he's going to make that move stick. A switchback. Is it going to work for Tafari? No, he's going to have to wait behind.
Yeah, an incredible start from everyone there. That was amazing from Frantic's well, backing off a little bit and holding the inside line and keeping P6, but for the moment Robbo leads the way and he's already pulling away from Marco. An incredible start from him, showing he's really fast in the intermediate conditions, but just maybe a little bit prone to mistakes, but hopefully for himself he's cleared it up. And now we can get on with it. There's a bit of a gap forming between everyone, apart from Tafari and Frantic. These guys are like glued to each other.
Yeah.
It's like glue and paper in your D&M class. You can't separate them.
Alrighty, here we go. Tafari, he's still looking pretty quick. It's lap 2 out of 27. He's not going to be able to get Frantic later on onto the straight though. So Frantic looking maybe pretty quick in a straight line. He just needs to try and make sure he opens those opportunities up. That's Gibby making a mistake because he's trying his best to prove what he had in the sprint race isn't just a one-off, and he is doing a very good job at it, but he was backing off when he was side-by-side with Gilly, which isn't really going to help him try and make an overtake. Very loosey-goosey on the rear, and that is now going to mean Frantic might want to have a look at something soon. Not right now, he's just not far enough ahead. He does have the energy being deployed though. He was trying to look for some sort of overtakes. Sebok, is he going to be able to show his straight line speed? Not quite yet. It will have to wait for now. Heisler right behind high-tier drivers, of course. We've got Geordie, Heisler, Nifojan. They're all trying to have a look as well, but they've got to be careful of what they do. They can't get in any trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps developing. I don't know why. It seems so. It may be hard to follow in the rain. I'm not sure as to why, but people are struggling to keep together at the moment. It's starting to get spread out, but it's the start of the race. Everyone's probably very nervous, so just keeping it apart from each other for now could be a good thing, and then later on we might see some battles. But now Sebok, speaking of, is actually now over the back of Tafari. After his initial great start, he seemed to be struggling for pace, and Sebok, speaking of pace, he's very quick in the straight line, and so maybe on the straight now, if he secures a good exit, he might be able to. Tafari running the curb there, so it might compromise his run a little bit, but no, he gets a great exit, and Sebok can't do anything. He's using a bit of ERS, but he can't seem to make the move stick. And now into turn 1, Frantic and Gibby are going side by side. Frantic and Gibby make a bit of contact. He's going to hold it around the outside, and Gibby defends the position. It pushes Frantic a bit off track and onto the little bumps of the curb, and he can't seem to make it work for now. Frantic, he's going to go down the inside. Yes, he is. Into the little chicane. He cuts the corner a bit. Gibby's still going to be there, but he holds his position for now, and he keeps it. Frantic now up into P5.
Still really trying to look for the switchback manoeuvres. He now has the outside line and he can open up the corner a little bit more compared to Frantic. Got to be careful he doesn't make contact with the rear. Going to try and tuck in the slipstream, then get a run, but no, he can't quite find it yet. We got a car behind. Sebok retires on the exit. I do not believe it. What a shame. Loses the rear of the car, and that's going to be that one done. I was just going to say, the further he gets into this race, he's going to get quicker. That is a slight mistake, and the contact, bit of demon dragging we had right there, that allows Jordi and Heisler to go for a move. Jordi going to stick it to the inside line. There's going to be contact, and that is going to be game over, unfortunately. Lots of switch up right there on lap 3 out of 27. We've got ages to go in this race.
Yeah, he already stuck his front wing into a position it shouldn't have been there. Maybe he didn't think he would turn in, so, well, he didn't really turn in early, but just a bit of miscommunication from both of them. And now he's down into P11. The pack has closed up though. Heisler on P6 to Tafari and Gibby together close to P7. They are just demon dragging, which is where the tyres lock and you kind of just go along with each other. It's not very realistic, but we have to deal with it for now. Gibby getting a bad exit though. Here comes Niffo. Niffo's going to use all his battery, but no, we can't seem to get ahead. Niffo, contrasting for the last race, he's struggling. He's really struggling to get the pace, and I mean not pace, sorry, the straight line speed. He just can't seem to get past at the moment.
Maybe Mizzy's tried to help him out. I don't know. Maybe Gibby's trying to take tips off of his teammate. The straight line speed seems to be absolutely mega. So yeah, fair enough. He was doing a very, very, very good job. Right, now it does look like that McLaren's still pretty close. Niffo also wants to have a go, but squirming, and he can't actually get traction down. High should go slightly defensive, just to try and say, hey, I'm a high-tier driver. Don't go for anything. We're just going to try and carry ourselves up the grid if possible. close together is Bassoon and Marco. No overtaking is going to be available anytime soon. It's all just a little bit of a waiting game at the moment. The psychology is immense, because if you relax for one little moment, you are going to lose a lot of time and possibly your front wing as well.
Yeah, you can't afford to relax in these conditions. I mean, it's spitting at the moment. I mean, this is spitting for me, but it's much worse in the game than it looks like. I mean, these conditions are treacherous, and obviously with it particles on, you can't really see it. But the rain effects are really going to kick in. The traction is going to be limited. Remember, there's no like tarmac placed on the track for you. It's not like dry tires where the track keeps on getting faster and faster. That's not how it works in the rain, because all the rubber just gets washed away. So it's really difficult for these guys to do anything at the moment.
Yeah, it's lap 5 out of 27, and it's kind of like a settling stage of the race, although we do have Nifo trying to have a look at a possible move. Tafari's got quite a bit of pressure on here. He's also got himself a time penalty, unfortunately. So, yeah, that might affect them later on, but as I said yesterday, time penalties are very difficult to avoid around this circuit, so we can see a lot of people find themselves getting time penalties later on into this race. Nifojan trying to open it up, but I'll tell you what, that rotation into Tafari's car is absolutely on point. He just manages to get the car rotated enough and then put the traction down. This time, Nifo will get ahead, and he's going to try his best to hold it. Unfortunately, Tafari does make a mistake, and he outbrakes himself on the exit. It's not going to work. Nifo's squabbling as well on the exit, but I think he will just about have the advantage, yet he's going to secure that move. So very, very, very tricky conditions for both of these guys, lifting off heavily with Tafari there. But he is unfortunately losing that position. But it's a higher tier driver. He's still running in P6 in theory right now, so not doing a bad job at all.
Yeah, Tafari actually nearly held it around the outside of Nifo. I mean, I would have been very impressed there. He was managing to hold it around the outside, then he lost the car a bit, so a bit of an issue for him there, but he's settling into P8 at the moment. He doesn't have to worry about Nifo nor Heischler. And you said earlier when Heisch was going for a defensive move, it was more of him just losing the back end a lot and managing to keep it at the wall, so quite impressive. But definitely not the fastest way of getting around the track.
Yeah, fair enough. It's not rallycross, unfortunately. But is what it is. Now, fastest lap there, we just saw. Or was that time penalty? I don't know if I'm seeing things. Maybe I just saw a flash of purple randomly. That's not good. Robbo leads the way by 3.7 seconds. We've got Marco sat in P2 Bassoon. He might be able to still maintain this pressure, but he's losing time to Gilly. Gilly is right there, so he might be able to make a move later on if he can keep this momentum up. Bassoon might have to now think about going for something, because if Gilly's going to get closer and closer, he's going to be in trouble. Gibby retires. Oh, no, that's a voluntary retirement. They've given up. They've given up. Their pace was immense. We got a long way in this race to go, but they decide not to. What a shame. What a shame.
I mean, it's mentally tough, mate. These sprint races are, I mean, it takes what, a lot longer than what a normal race does. You've got the sprint race, which you need to keep out of the wall for, and the actual race in the rain as well. I mean, this could be on level with a normal Singapore race. It is very tricky. The amount of focus you need, and if you lose a bit of focus and a bit of motivation, that can happen. 2 voluntary retirements, sadly, is. Oh, Gibby leaves, never mind, sorry, I thought that was someone else who left the session. But looking further up now, Gilly, Pursuant and Marco are all in a little scrap for P2 at the moment. It doesn't look like there's going to be any moves out of this straight, however, maybe onto the back straight we might see some mix-ups in the order. Onto lap 7 now, Rubble 4.4 seconds in front as he's managing the gap at the moment, not having to do anything too special. And it just seems as though no one can get past each other at that moment. It's a stalemate for now. And yeah, it's probably quite frustrating for all the drivers.
Yeah, as you said, the race gets pretty long. Usually you see about 40 to 45 minutes for a normal race, and you might even have a little bit longer if you do get some safety cars. Right now we haven't had any safety cars, but in the wet, you're going to get about 50 to 60 minutes. I don't know if 60 is maybe a little bit extreme, but of course we had that sprint race, so it adds up, and you're going to be driving a car for over an hour in total. So it's going to be such a tough race to actually get done. We're going to see a change of conditions at the end of this race, and those drivers with a dry setup, they might be able to get an advantage. That's if the rain goes away quick enough for the dry setups to really be able to come out and play. 2 tenths behind is Bassoon on Marco. There's a switch up with Geordie and Tafari as Geordie makes his way past the other McLaren and tries to push his way up the order.
Yeah, but coming into the fast right handles, Tafari's going to look for the move on Jordi, but he can't make it at the moment, so that's Jordi up into P8 and starting a little bit of a redemption there as he made a mistake earlier on and also got taken out in the fast right-hander, so he's not doing too bad, but he needs to catch up quite a bit as we see Niffle and Heischler having a bit of a battle for P6 at the moment. Heisch getting some good traction on exit, and it looks as though he's got quite a bit more battery, so Niffle deployed the battery a bit too much is what is happening there. I think he just makes a bit of a mistake, and now Niffle is through into P6.
Decides to maybe give the position up after losing the car. I don't know. Yeah, that's unfortunately a position lost, but at least he's kept it out of the wall. I think that's a bit more important. Still looking for a good points position, Heischler, if he can stay in this one. Frantic, he's got that pressure. Although they're higher tier drivers, he can just keep going if he wants to. But 5.5 seconds is the gap to the cars ahead. Those cars are rapid right now.
Yeah, I mean, people are rapid in the wrong way. You see Gilly rapid in the corners. People... Sorry. Gilly just took out the DRS marker. I don't know if he just lost the car there, but I got quite distracted by that. Gilly losing the car, but wiping out the DRS board in the process. I'm sure he didn't mean it. But proving how difficult it is, even with the higher downforce. So maybe it's not so simple after all. So here comes Pursuit. He's got an absolutely fantastic exit coming into the fast right-hander. He doesn't even need the corner to overtake him. He's already through on Marco. Marco's struggling quite a bit. And now he's up into P2. Great stuff.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Pursuit finally gets that move done. Now, let's see. 5.5 seconds is the gap between Robber and Pursuit. Is that going to change? Marco, he can still try and hold on here because, you know, maybe a bit of slipstream does help you here. The DRS will be available on the final laps of this race. It might be a little bit earlier than usual. It might not. We'll have to wait and see. But that is now Marco getting overtaken. And Zingy, when you get overtaken after leading a pack for such a long time, it can be a little bit distracting. All of a sudden now you've got a car in front of you. What are you thinking in this position, worrying about the car behind?
I would worry about the car behind. You worry on yourself and the person in front of you. Whatever the person in front of you is doing is not too much of a concern, but you'd rather worry about them than the car behind. Unless you can see the car behind visibly getting very close, then I wouldn't too much to focus on them. These are very dangerous conditions, and a small mistake could lead in a retirement, as Tafari has shown us just there. So you don't want to just focus on other people. You need to focus on yourself. I think maybe that's what Marco struggled with, because now he's just stopped to about 7 seconds behind Robbo and already 1.2 behind Pursuance. So proving that maybe he was struggling to keep his focus, and now Pursuance flying.
Yeah, Nitho's made that move on Frantic. It seems like we got quite a few voluntary retirements. Maybe people are realising that their dinner reservations are going to be crossing over with the race, so they have to quickly drop out while they don't get too far into this race. It's quite possible. Now, Gilly sat behind at the moment. We've, of course, had Frantic just losing that position to Nifo, although they can maybe try and work together with the higher tier driver. They're currently in P5. Can they try and close up the Gilly here and maybe help out Frantic in that sister team? We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell, of course. Now, Gilly, he's looking pretty close to Marco, pretty much as close as he was earlier on. However, Marco starts to lose a little bit of time to Pursuit. Pursuit has got pace in that car. Not enough to catch Robbo, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I should say this. Actually, I'm not going to say obviously the percentage, but Robbo has a lot of battery. You can look on the steering wheel if you so desire, and then you look at everyone else, and it looks like they've not got too much. So Robbo is firmly in control of this race. doesn't make a mistake like he done in the sprint race, which he's already made it longer than what he did without making a mistake last time, almost double that. So he's doing well for now. If he just keeps this pace, he doesn't have to go faster than Platoon, he can just go the same pace as him. Stay 6.2, 6.3 ahead. And then when the dry conditions come out, he doesn't have to take any risks. And then he's sorted. So this is Robbo's race to lose now.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to take his second win of the season, and that would jump him into the lead of the championship. 6.3 seconds ahead. He's already made a mistake earlier on, and hopefully for his sake, that's his last mistake of the event. Now, Pursoon goes and gets himself a 3 second, as he also goes and loses 3/10. So that is a tricky situation. Doesn't need to worry about it too much, because it's a long race. We're only on lap 10 at the moment, and it can definitely change up, because lots of people are going to probably end up getting themselves time penalties. It's France, that's why. It's so difficult. So yeah, time will tell, as you will see probably a few more of those penalty icons pop up next to a couple of drivers' names. Hopefully, not as many, but as you can see, it's very difficult. Marco, he did manage to gain a little bit of time there. He's actually gained time on Gilly. Nifojan has gained a lot of time, as you see Frantic and Yordi making moves. There's a bit of contact as he loses the rear of the car. Frantic's not going to be happy, as he's still going to try and go for a move on the exit. Is it going to work for him? That is Yordi on the inside. He's going to have to leave the space. Frantic's going to have to leave the space. He doesn't leave the space. He cuts him off. Interesting as a higher tier driver in a lower tier, but Frantic recognises it and backs off. So yeah, interesting stuff there as he goes and cuts the corner pretty aggressively, maybe being a little bit distracted of what just happened.
Yeah, Frantic maybe losing a bit of focus after that quite aggressive overtake. He's already loses the back end, proving that, I mean, it's still difficult. The race still coming down. Remember, it is on approximate, and basically that means that yeah, the weather's set to dry up near the end of the race, but we don't know what lap that'll actually be, so it could range from what, like lap 19 to 27. It could dry up in the last lap, it could dry up very early. So these guys need to be on their toes at all times, just so when the weather does stop, or if it stops, they're prepared to make a pit stop when time occurs.
Yeah, for sure. Marco has managed to get nice and close to Pursoon. Gilly's losing more time, so it suggests that maybe Marco's picked up the pace. Although Pursoon has obviously got that time penalty, which maybe distracted him, so he's maybe starting to take it a little bit more easy. So yeah, he's got to be careful. It was 3/10 on the back straight, on the main straight, I should say. So that is very treacherous there for Pursoon. He's got a bit more pressure on now. That is Nifojan catching up to these guys, so we might see him a little bit later on in this race. Would he go for any aggressive moves? He's not going to try and cause anybody problems, of course, so he's going to have to be very patient. Yeah, so far, that is the current situation. Rexty, Harsha, they're pretty close together. They might have a little bit of a battle at some point soon. Yordi trying to make progress through the grid as well. We'll have to see how it goes for him.
Yeah, I mean, nothing too much is happening at the moment, but if you focus on this little battle, you can see people losing the back end, people just trying to tiptoe their way through the conditions. It doesn't look like it's lightening up at all, so as Marco gets a 3 seconds, so Gilly's going to be loving life at the moment. So he's just, we talked about it earlier on, losing focus, maybe that's what Marco's doing. And now he's got 3 seconds, the same as Pursoon, so now he's battling him on track, and now Gilly, all he needs to do is just stay 3 seconds within these guys' penalties. And he's going to become P2, so by keeping it clean, Gilly's able to just do his own race and get a good result out of it.
Yeah, fun fact, Gilly actually got promoted to P2 in the last race at Imola on time penalties, so he might be able to do it again here. Gilly's usually, I'm going to say usually, very good at not getting time penalties, so he will be able to gain nicely at this stage if he can keep this up. But it's a long way to go. We're almost halfway through this race, so you know it's not exactly easy. Now, Robbo, he leads by such a margin, he doesn't need to push on the track limits. There's something that I should say, Zingy. If you try and go slower, arguably it's harder to drive slow in a fast car. Like, you gotta be careful, right? You know what I mean? It's difficult to drive slowly in a Formula One car. You kind of like you get a little bit distracted. You try and take it easy, and then all of a sudden you find yourself maybe going a little bit too aggressive if you lose concentration. I'm completely blabbing. Anyway, Pursoon leads this battle. Jordi getting another time penalty, so it really does prove that it's so difficult. Niffo is right behind these guys, and he might have a look at a move sooner than I thought, actually. I thought it was going to be 4 or 5 laps, but no, he's here already, 1 lap later.
That's a very interesting way to pronounce Niffel's name.
It is. It is.
Neffel. So I need to tell him that after the race.
But yeah, he's managed to catch up nicely. Gilly sitting in P4, he might think, you know what, I'm going to let Niffo go through, see if he can try and get something done, because, you know, higher tier drivers can get in the way sometimes, but they can also be used as a utility. It's kind of like a grenade to the cars ahead. If they don't play it well, then they're going to lose time, and Gilly might be able to make moves. That's not a cue to call Niffo the grenade. If you want to call him the grenade, you can, but it's just a metaphor. A metaphor, I promise.
What are you trying to imply here? That Niffel is a dangerous driver?
Nope, it's just higher tier drivers can be used as a utility. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Don't call him a tool either.
No.
He's not a tool either. He's not a tool either. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to move away. As you see, 1.4 seconds is the gap between Marco and Pursoon. Now, managing to find a bit more pace back from what they had earlier on. So they're doing a very good job. Heisha, unfortunately, going into the pit lane a little bit earlier than usual.
No.
So that's not looking ideal.
He's in the wall.
Oh, he's in the wall. Oh, we'll say that he's in the pit lane. We'll say that he's in the pit lane. Just going pretty quickly through the pit lane, however. Now, I'm thinking, asking this question now. What is going to be the pit stop window? Are we even going to be pitting on in this race?
Well, it depends on who you ask. You ask me, I'm pitting. My tyres around this track are absolutely dreadful. Some people on controller might find it difficult. I don't know who's on controller. It's Frantic on controller, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, whoever's on controller, right? They're probably going to struggle quite a lot with tyre wear around this track because it just seems to be a common theme. And so, yeah, actually, Rexy's on controller. I can tell by the steering inputs. His tyre seems to be looking horrible. Then you go to someone who's like Gilly. Gilly's tyres, you can still see the little line in between the middle part and the outer part, but it's not nearly as bad as Rexy. Rexy's are a bit more noticeable. It might just be me, but proving that the tyres are going off significantly for him, so he's going to have to think of a pit stop soon. Robbo, on the other hand, it's still noticeable, the little line in the middle, but he's looking after the tyres quite well. He's got 8-second advantage. He doesn't have to do anything. Once Pursoon pits, he can pit 2-3 laps later, lose 2.5 seconds, still have that 5-6 second gap bleeds and have fresher tyres, so there's no need for him to do anything. As Rex is actually the first person to bite the bullet and coming into the pits. Now, I presume it's for Inters. I'd be very, very confused if it were soft tyres. In the box now, good pit stop, and that's him on intermediates again. Going far. Oh no, Hash in. Oh wait, no, he's got a front line. I forgot about that.
Yeah, all good. Now I'm thinking, would you want to go for an earlier pit stop because, you know, the tyre wear, it's going to be pretty bad and it's not actually worth really doing anything. That is already going for the move. He's defending very, very interestingly. So that is Niffo going to be maybe not too happy with that. Now, what I'm trying to say is, would you want to go for an earlier pit stop? Because the longer you spend on this tyre, the more time you're just going to lose. You can gain time if you go for that earlier pit stop, because we know that the weather's going to get drier. Is it worth the gamble though? Because we might still be going to the end of this race on Inters.
Well, the pit lane is it's one of the longest pit lanes of the season, 27 to 30 seconds. The pit stop time can be, so even people like Robbo will come at 18, 19 seconds behind, so maybe in fact it's not worth it, because yeah, say Robbo will be 19 seconds behind, he'll gain time, but is he really going to gain like 2 seconds a lap? Viper thinks so, and not Viper, Yordi, sorry, thinks so. Coming into the pit lane now, he's going to put on a new set of intermediates, and he's quick. However, is he 2 seconds a lap quicker? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. Those inters are going to be pretty sweet, I think, at this stage. So, you know, we've done quite a few laps under the wet conditions. Is the track going to start to dry up within the next few laps? We do still see those raindrops, and it shouldn't be because we're just past the halfway line. So we're going to be seeing maybe dry conditions coming in, what, lap 19 to 22 at the earliest, I'd say. But it still might be a lot later, and if it is going to be later, we're probably not going to be pitting. Although I say, well, we're not going to be pitting, it's going to be pretty treacherous still as you try and drive wet tyres on a dry circuit, and worn tyres possibly as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can say that, however, I don't know if this works in the F1 game, however, in real life, the more worn out your inters get, it's more of like a dry tyre it becomes. And in those dry conditions on the, in quote, dry tyres, it could be a possibility that maybe the worn tyres aren't so bad after all in the dry conditions.
Yeah, the interslicks
Yes.
that are in real life F1 as they get flatter and flatter and smoother, I should say. But yeah, I don't think that's the case in the F1 game because I don't think they would have really thought of that, to be honest, unfortunately. I'm not saying anything there, but I think that's just going to be, when the dries come in, the tyres are just going to be pretty dead. They will get faster when the circuit does dry up, but once you do get a really dry circuit, the tyres get so hot anyway, it doesn't really matter if you have grip or not. You just can't control the rear end of the car. So you either have to be very, very careful and pray that you don't lose it suddenly, or you have to make a pit stop. Nifo, very, very loosey-goosey on the rears. We saw earlier from a couple cars getting that rotation. Nifo may be a little bit more of an over-rotation, but he still keeps control.
Yeah, Neville just about keeping it in a straight line like he struggled to do a few times this season, but he manages to keep it on track, and now he's going to be looking for a move on Gilly, but he can't do it at the moment. Maybe, well, I said it before, maybe he's changed himself to have a bit more of a pointy, higher downforce setup and a bit less in the rear, so he's very good around the corners, but maybe not so good on the straights. Coming into the fast right-hander, he is catching up to Gilly a bit, to be fair, but is he going to be able to make the move? No, maybe into the really long left-hander, which will come up in a moment's time. Niffle really, not impatient, but he must be getting really frustrated being behind Gilly for so long, but he just can't seem to make the move. Gilly looks like to have some solid paid right now, and he is also keeping with Marco, so Niffle's really struggling to get past these guys. DRS are not available, and obviously his pace on the dry and his little practice that he's had hasn't really carried over to the wet.
Yeah, it's very difficult. He's also a high-tier driver, so he can't really go for any risky overtakes that he might do otherwise. But yeah, Gilly racing in his own race at the moment, doing a very good job of it. Nifo is arguably one of the best drivers around this circuit. You know, he's won the two main races that we've had in the last 2 seasons, and they've been the first one since the 2019 game. The only other race that was won by another driver was a sprint race, and that was only 9 laps. So, you know, that guy, I don't know who it was singing. I don't know if it was someone that you know, but
I know who it
Nifo,
is.
he manages to keep it in out of the wall, and when he does that, he beats his rivals. Here we go. He's going to now make the overtake on Gilly.
Yeah, it's a good move by Niffle into the chicane. He gets it nice stopped. Sorry, I can't seriously after what he said. Oh, hi, Storm Tires in the pit lane now. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's left. He's given up. He was about like a minute behind, to be fair to him. And there's no signs of safety cars coming at the moment. Everyone's being very mature, very careful, very. What's another word for careful? Cautious.
Yeah, I think you can kind of know that you're you just have to try and keep it safe and score the points and just keep going. And you know, with a long race like this, it really does get difficult to concentrate at certain times. So, you know, that's why we have seen so many DNFs just in the pit lane, because they just have to stop. They just can't keep going. You know, the motivation just drops because the wet conditions are brutal. But if you do get to the end of the race and you do get good points, it's one of the most rewarding things ever. And that's why, even though Robbo hasn't really had too much battling this race, it's so impressive because he's doing such a good job. Now, Nifo is very, very close to the back of Marco. They're going to get a bit more clean air. Now, will the double slipstream from Gilly not be in effect, and will just the slipstream be enough to make a move? No, loses the car as he tries to get on the throttle, and that is going to be an overtaking opportunity gone.
Yeah, Nifo yet again is struggling, so maybe as his setups it's a bit pointy, but keeping it at the wall, which is good, so it provides us a bit of entertainment. But Marco, he looked very solid in the straight lines, so maybe Nifo will struggle a bit more of getting past Marco than Gilly. I'm not saying Gilly's a bad driver, he's very talented, however, from what I understand, Gilly was running a bit higher downforce than some others. But Nifo seems to be running quite low downforce. I don't know. His setup's so confusing, but he's going to go down the inside of Marco into the fast right-hander. He holds it around the outside, coming into the fast side. Now he's got the inside. He brakes a bit early, releases the brake pedal, but Nifo is going to hold it around the outside, skating the car along the curb, and that's him finally up into P3. Good job.
He invited Marco up to the inside to make sure that he could secure the outside line and get the better exit. So very, very nicely done there from Nifajan. Marco tried his best to get back ahead, but what Nifo's trying to do here is make the moves as soon as he can, because he made that move on Gilly. He wants to try and get out the way and get through Marco. Now he has clean air, so he can try and focus on himself and cause as little impact to this race as possible. So if he can pull away, maybe catch Pursoon, then he's going to be doing what he needs to do. You know, he's doing a very good job, and he's done it so many times on so many occasions. So yeah, very good. 41.8. The track is getting slightly faster now, and as I said, if the rain was really going in early, we could start to see the track dry up within the next few laps. I think it's going to still be around about lap 21 though. Maybe.
It might do so. So the weather is looking still quite rainy, a little bit less from earlier on, I can tell that, but it's still prominent. It's still going to be there for at least one or two more laps. And DRS, Ricky, I want a serious prediction. When do you think the rain's going to end?
Yeah, I think lap... Alright, I'm going to be a bit of a wimp, and I'm going to say lap 22. I did say lap 21, but I think it's going to be more lap 22.
Boring. The rain's going to dry up, but I don't think dry tyres are going to be affected this race. I reckon it's going to be one of those races. Yeah, I think
but
it's
still, they're going so long on these inters. It's too long.
Hey, listen, the last person who went long on the tyres and got a puncture then won the next race, didn't they? So, my thinking is, Robbo is going to get Pursoon's going to get a puncture because he knows he can't win this race. He's going to wear the tyres out far too much, and then he's going to win the next race by 40 seconds. That's my prediction.
Maybe. It could happen if we see history repeat itself, but you know, time will tell. Is the rain going to be in, or is it not? Is it already in?
Oh.
I think, yeah. Wait, what? My original...
No.
My original idea, lap 21. I did it.
No.
Yes, okay.
You cheat.
Beat that. Alrighty, so I do know what I'm talking about somewhat. Now, it's going to get drier. It's still going to be wet conditions at the moment, as you see Nifo going very loosey-goosey on the lid. It's going to be still wet conditions for now. The track will have to dry up. 8 cars on track. It will dry up a little bit slower than usual. So we're still going to be going on these inters until maybe lap 24, and then we might consider going into the pit lane, and that still might be too early.
I reckon Nifo's going to pit at the end of this lap.
Really?
I've got a... I mean, he's an F1 driver. He's going to give us some sort of fun. He's going to go into dry tyres. He's going to win the race by about 40 seconds. That's my prediction.
I disagree, because you can go to a set of soft tyres and go to the end of the race, and the rain has only just ended.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be such a risky strategy. You can go a little bit longer and then have no problems on a set of soft tyres. So, yeah, unless he really wanted to take that risk, then yeah, sure, but no, he hasn't done it. I'm sorry, Zingy. He's not. I know it was a risk and entertainment, but he's not going to go this lap. Maybe next lap, though. Maybe next lap.
This is why Niffle isn't an LSI F1 champion. I can't say that. Can I say that?
You can, but you didn't win the French Grand Prix.
Yeah, but well, I did. I won the sprint race. That's who won the sprint race. Singing me. I'm that guy.
Fair enough.
So
Alrighty,
what
now we have Gilly and Marco pretty close together. 3/10 this time, so Gilly's slowly trying to psych up some sort of move. We've got Yordi into the pit lane to try and lead the way, so this could be something. He is going to go on lap 21 for him right now, so he is going to follow what Zingy said. Is it going to work out though? That's the question. Now, ERS is fully available for Gilly here. Not going to try and use it though. I would suggest that he goes for it sooner rather than later, because we might be going into the pit lane soon.
Well, your day has spun, so maybe not.
Oh no. The soft tyres unfortunately aren't working.
He's run again.
Yep. It's very, very, very difficult. It's like ice at the moment. I'm still going to stick to lap 24 minimum. Other than that, we might even go all the way to the end and then see some people go pop. Now, that is Gilly so close to the back of Marco, but he doesn't have the straight line speed to go for a simple overtake, so he might have to start getting a little bit more creative. Now, the problem with that is, in the wet, it's so difficult to do, and you could end up making a big mistake, and that is Marco going way off the circuit and gets himself a 3-second by the game. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to get removed because he's gone way off the circuit. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Nifojan in clean air gets a fastest lap of the session, and he's right behind Pursoon here. So he's loving life at the moment. Lap 23 out of 27. Not going to be considering going into the pit lane anytime soon, because if he can get this overtake done and then go for a pit stop, he's going to have that crucial track position.
Yeah, of course people are looking for a pit stop, but if you look at Yordi, he's on skates at the moment. Look, he just can't brake. The dry tyres aren't working. People are taking a risk. I don't know if it's going to switch somehow now, but Yordi is on an ice rink at the moment. He can't seem to do anything. Oh, he's nearly lost it. He's nearly went careering right into the wall. But when you look at these other guys, Frantic and Marco looks as though he looks a bit confident, although he turns and then the car just doesn't respond. It's like your engine sometimes just doesn't seem to want to work. Yeah. Look at it, he just turns. Watch out this corner as well. This will be a prime example. Yeah, he turns a little bit, and because the way the corner's made, he turns too much. They lose the back end. Come in here. It's not much of a corner, but he's still losing the back end, so it's far too early for Inters. Gilly's going to be looking at the gap between himself and Marco and be like, I'm staying out, man. Honestly, I do not want to risk that. He's in P4 at the moment. He might not get a podium for now. Actually, he will. Oh, what? Robbo's got a puncture!
No. Robbo has a puncture. He's gonna have to go for the soft tyre. I don't think he really has a choice, to be honest. He has to go for it. Going so long. And I thought Robbo was probably one of the only drivers to have no chance of getting a puncture, because the way he runs his setups are really nice on the tyres. But no, it's not gonna work. Has to go on the soft tyres, whether he likes it or not. Gonna lose that gap that he had. He's got to pray that he now has the perfect lap for these soft tyres. Not going to be the worst idea, but it is still a little bit too early. So that is absolutely crucial. Now, what I wanted to say earlier on, explaining what the problem is with the tyres, immediately as you exit the pit lane, right, they are fairly warm. And then as you are on the wet circuit, they cool down, and then it gets very, very tricky. Robbo is going to find that right now. He has to just take it at the moment, and he has to pray that Pursoon misjudges this. Marco is out of this one in the pit lane. Another retirement, interestingly, so that's guaranteed points gone. Robbo now, he has to pray that Gilly and Pursoon don't stay out too long. And, you know, if they've just seen that that puncture, they might find themselves getting one as well. Although, they have been, you know, I say battling, they were just working together in a train, so they weren't really pushing as hard. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, time will tell. Is he going to go into the pit lane now, one lap later, and try and see if he can get a overcut here? No.
No, they're all saying, no, they're looking at the gap to Robin, like, yeah. I mean, if you're looking at the gap to Robin, and he's going down like 6 seconds a lap, you might as well wait the extra 2 laps, come in for softs, just so your tyres won't get punctures, right? But even if the tyres aren't up to scratch, you're still going to be like, about 10 seconds ahead of him. As you're already, yet again, making more mistakes. The soft tyres aren't working at the moment. But how did we miss it? Honestly, it just happened in an instant. I thought, I seen an Alpine and I didn't think of it fully at first, but then we just seen Robbo limping, Niff overtook him, Pursuit overtook him, and then he came into the pits and he lost about another 5 seconds due to when you get a puncture in the pit lane, it doesn't fully, your speed doesn't fully, it goes to like 30 rather than 37 mile an hour, so. Oh, he's crashed, he's lost his, no he's not lost his wing, has he? He's lost a part of his wing. So now the gap's going to go up even more. Rexty, from out of nowhere, is going to be looking at a P3, a podium on his debut in F1.5. So Rexty, keeping a bit quiet, keeping it on track. And now he sees Rob on his sides. He's going to go to the left-hand side, which isn't the best because he'll probably understeer into him. Goes right around the outside. Oh, there's contact between him and Robbo. Robbo has been shot in the foot multiple times. He's
yeah, from bad to worse. He has to stay out, really. You know, if he doesn't, if he does go into the pit lane, I was gonna say, is gonna immediately lose a position to Rexty and Frantic. He had that time penalty, but yeah, that's an interesting one. And now Robbo has dropped a little bit further back. I'm really still wanting to see these guys because Pursoon staying out longer. That Gilly in. I don't know if that's a bad idea. Not really track conditions like it. Although Gilly at the moment is just making sure that he secures this P2. Pursoon is at risk at getting a puncture if he's not careful. But because he's got such a gap to everyone else around him now, he can just cruise.
Wait, look, what? Gilly's on inters.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's not the worst idea. It's not what I expected, but still. Yeah, we got 2 laps for him remaining of this race, and it's still looking pretty wet, so he's going to be fine to go to the end.
Well, coming at the first 2 corners, he looks as though he can carry so much speed, so. I mean. Maybe Gilly is the prophet. He's the big brain. Look at him. 4th gear flying for the corners. Robbo taking 2nd gear and can't even get any sort of traction down. So Gilly, he will be the fastest car on track. We know that for a fact. Those new intermediates will be about 1.5 seconds quicker. He's looking good at the moment. He just needs to burn through that ERS that he's got left because he needs to just go for it now. If Pursuing gets a puncture, say about now, then, well, he probably won't jump him, but it'll be close to it at least. Yeah. And yeah, but on to the last lap in a few moments' time. Niffle leading, of course, but he's in higher tier driver. So Pursuing for the F1.5 drivers in the lead, those tires are looking, a lack of better words, dreadful. There's like a little line. If you look in the front right, especially, you can see a secondary line forming in the tires. So onto the last lap, so you're going to have to just really be careful. You can afford to lose 15 seconds this lap just looking after his tyres. Like Andrew's done to win the race in Japan. He's got that margin to do so, so will he do it? Will he just look after the tyres? It looks as though he's going for it at the moment, which is a bit of a risky play, but you know, who's wanting to judge, not me.
Yeah, you need to try and stay off the curbs to minimise anything, because it does actually affect you. So, yeah, he's not really wanting to do that. To be honest, 27 seconds, even with a puncture, and half a lap to go pretty much, I don't know if you're going to really have too much of a problem. But it's such a scary moment. He's just praying and then he might be able to take his first win of the season, his first one in a while, and finally get the momentum going, not only for him, but for AlphaTauri. And that will be a double point score for him. Frantic having the issues, still staying in this race, and gaining a lot from it. That tells you what you can really do if you just keep going, as we have the final few corners left of this race. Now, he's done a great job so far. He's got the final few corners. He might get a puncture. It doesn't really matter. Nifo is going to come round to finish this race in P1, the French Grand Prix. He will take the double. He will get that F1.5 EU Championship race win overall. But this guy is going to win it for the EU drivers as he comes around the final corner. He's going to win his first race this season. Pursoon is going to cross the line. That is absolutely amazing. Brilliant job for him, not getting a puncture in the end. Gilly was just securing that P2 for the EU drivers. I think that is very, very well played. And now he's going to catch up big time to the top two. He's going to catch up nicely to Robbo, but a lot to this as well. He might even be in P2 in the championship. I don't know. I'll have to check that one later on. But that is a brilliant podium. 2 P2s in a row there for Gilly, and a fastest lap as well to top off. Now, Rexty, on debut, is going to take a podium. He said to me earlier on, I don't want it to rain. As long as it doesn't rain, I'll be fine. I said to him, it's raining. He will take that. Lovely, lovely stuff. Is what it is, unfortunately. Robbo is going to have to settle for that P4. Still good points over his championship rival. He will lead the championship as he ends this race, but it's not what he wanted after such a dominant race and it going out of his control.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that happens. Sometimes you need to take the risk, and he just... I don't know what to say. I mean, it all just slipped away from him in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, that is 2 races, or 2 drivers losing race wins to punctures this season, which is only round 7. You could say, oh, it's round 7 out of 16, but still, 7 races, 2 of those have been punctures on the final few laps. That is pretty unheard of, but just people trying to push it on strategy, and it really does get the better of some people. That is Nifojan taking the win. We got Pursoon in P2, Gilly with the fastest lap, then we have Rexty, Robbo, Frantic, Yordi, DNFing, followed by Marco, Heischler, Safari, Gibby and Sebok earlier on in this race. We're going to skim through the race director just in case if we need to a little bit later on. And of course the pit stops as well. A very tricky circuit, although not too many people finishing this race, so we probably won't need to look at it. We'll be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the LSI F1.5 Championship. We're here today for the post-race interviews of the French Grand Prix. That was a eventful race, despite the conditions. I will start the interviews with Robbo. Robbo, that was not the way you want things to go. Probably one of the worst things you can do. You were leading by such a margin and the tyres were just gone. Can you take us through that?
Yeah, so the overall race was really good. I had a solid race. I was pretty much able to command you know, I should have been able to command the whole race, but the game had other plans for me. Got a puncture on the straight, which was a bit confusing. Not sure if the game's added in, bits and pieces of the front wing on the straight, you never know. But yeah, we thought it seemed to be drying out quite fast. The inters were, the sector times were improving a lot. So we took the decision to go onto the softs, which it obviously didn't work out. But that was more of a in the heat of the moment decision, which was 50-50, went the wrong way. Yeah, that was it. Quali was good. Put it on pole. Not sure what happened with Pursoon and the Alpha Tauri. Not sure if they invalidated whatever, but good lap. And then the sprint was great for me, but then did a little Max Verstappen, but I was still able to get the win, which was I'll take the win in the sprint.
Yeah, still some very, very good points. Was that P4 and and of course the win in the sprint race. So you've taken what am I doing? You've taken normal points for a win anyway. That's going to be 20 points over this as Vale. So are you happier with that still?
Oh yeah, definitely. Going into today, any points would have been good. With the info from doing the tier 1 race reserve, and I knew my pace would be somewhere around the top. So I was just going to try extend the lead as much as I can to Vale. So pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure. Singapore next race. It's going to be it might be wet. It's likely to be wet. You seem to be pretty good in the rain. Are you hoping that it's going to rain or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know where my pace in the wet came from. It was quite surprising because I was so scared driving in the wet. But yeah, good to know I have pace in the wet or into conditions. So if Singapore's wet, then bring it on. But hopefully I don't say hello to that wall again like last season. So I'll be sure to stay away from that.
Yeah, hopefully we can see you get another good result. It's a shame it didn't go quite the way you wanted it, but still good points today. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Game is Batman.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thanks.
And we move on to Heischler. Heischler, that was tough. Very, very tough. The wet conditions, not too easy.
Yeah, I was assuming that my wet weather driving would be better around now, but it's still apparently quite shit. Yeah, I would give the problem to probably using too much curbs and white lines, which costs you grip, of course. And yeah, my setup was probably not the best as well.
Fair enough. I mean, with wet conditions and inter conditions and setups, it's very difficult to get right. So it's easily done.
Yeah, I was so stupid to opt for a setup between dry and inter instead of a full inter setup.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Singapore. Do you like that circuit more than France? And would you ideally hope it's dry? I assume.
Yeah, I did some laps today on Singapore, and to be honest, I really enjoy it. It's just corner after corner, and I like kind of the flow of it. I think it's one of the better tracks on this game. And now I know that I can't really change the setups I have to in between setups. I think the rain there would be less of a problem, because
Fair
I
enough.
learned a lot from this race.
Yeah, fair enough. All good data, even if it's not the result you wanted. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Can I do 4?
Yeah, go for it.
You live, you learn.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Gilly. Gilly, 2 P2s in a row, catching up to the championship leaders. How about that?
That was lovely.
The pace was very, very good. The pace was very, very good. Did you not want to consider going all the way to the end?
No, my tyres were on 82%, I think, when I pitted, and that was like 2-3 laps from then, so they would have been past 90 or around 90-ish. So I thought, nah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna pray that, was it Pursoon? Pursoon gets a puncture. But yeah, that sprint race was probably my favourite race I've had on this game. It was just manic, but like, it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. It was really good. So thank you very much for some great battles and great entertainment, and really well done on a great result. Making your way up the table, I guess. Yeah, really well done. Singapore. We've seen you do some pretty good races at Singapore in the past, and we've seen you do some pretty good wet races at Singapore. Are you hoping it might be intermediate conditions again?
Yes.
Do you think you can try and go long on a set of it into tyres and hold everybody behind? Setup wise, do you think you'll have an advantage as well? Or what's the idea?
I'll try my best, but I don't think you can get away with it so much in this game. Because
Yeah,
last game I did the 0 stop on the wets, wasn't it?
yeah. It might be a little bit more difficult. Well done today. Really good job. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Got a podium.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Nifo. Nifo, textbook stuff. Last to first. Yeah, it was a crazy one, but at the end it kind of settled down a little bit, and you got in front.
Yeah, I mean, it started already pretty difficult because I didn't know what setup to run. Because the one I used in F1 was, I think, the lowest week of everybody. That's a statement, but Igor might have been lower, but I didn't encounter him. So I upped the wings last second in quali itself, and it worked quite well. I think it could have gone a bit lower, but it was fine. And then the sprint race, I got to Gilly, and then he was like, "Oh, it's the best race I've ever had." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to ruin that." So I was like, "I'll just do as instructed and don't interfere as much." Because if I would have overtaken Gilly, there would have been a gap, and they were like, it was like a big train of like 4 cars, and I was like, I don't want to interfere with that. So I just watched, and from that point, I was like, "Well, I don't want to start on this position," so I just, DSQ'd, so I could start in the back.
Yeah.
Start was chaotic, and I got back to Gilly again. Just because car spinning and some were just a bit, I was just faster, so I could overtake them easier. And when I got the back to Gilly, I had the same thing again, where I was like, well, just spectate because they were battling with the 3 of them. And then Gilly tried to provoke me, saying the real Nifo would catch up to Robbo. And I took that personally. So I was like, you know what? Fuck you. So I just, frick you. So I decided to push it a little bit. And I got past him and Pursoon and Marco. And then Robbo had a puncture in the end, so I didn't even get the chance to see my pace compared to him. So that was, it was fun. And at the end, my tires were 88%, so how I didn't get a puncture is quite a mystery. But yeah, it was. I mean, I was mostly just watching the fighting, so it was quite fun, So I had nothing more to add on that.
Yeah, I mean, go to drive, really well done. What was I going to say?
Singapore.
I was going to say something else, but I've completely forgotten. Never mind. Yeah, Singapore. Now you've had a bit of a wet race here. Are you a bit more confident as you can see the monsoon season? Maybe?
I mean, overall, a certain Scotsman has been a bit quicker in the wet than me. And he's very good at that circuit, so we'll see. But I would rather have it dry. I think I have a better chance then. But if it's wet, then I'll have to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, you might have a little bit more time to try and sort out a wet setup, which might help. But yeah, really
Yeah.
well done today. Pretty good stuff. That's what I wanted to say. Do you think you can go for another Reserve Driver Championship? Another title in the Reserve Driver Championship.
Oh, I actually missed quite a lot because I think for some races when I crashed, I got pretty mad and I just didn't want to race. And then, but I mean, sure, I'll go for it.
Yeah.
I'll go for it.
I think you're leading. I'm pretty sure you're leading the way. You won
Oh.
EU last season. You won the NA one as well. So you're looking for your third title. Your
Okay,
third title.
I'll go for it. I'll go for it.
One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
What's a pit stop?
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And that's been it. Over to Zingy.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching that race. I mean, that was a good race, wasn't it? There's a lot of battling, a lot of fun in the rain, a lot of nothing really spinning too. But he kept it at the wall, and that's what you do. You win. He done a very good job there. So, will he repeat the same in Singapore? Who knows? In LSI F1, you will get to see that, and in F1.5, will Robbo actually get a win this time, or his tire still delaminate like it did last time? Either way, that's it for me, and I'll see you later.